Hey everybody, it's Robin from Talks from the Heart. I'm going to decorate my B6 paper test designs. It's what I use as my daily diary. I just put in stuff that actually happened. I'm really enjoying the process. I'm going to use some kits from Sweet Quiet Designs, Pookie Bear Cuties, Josephine Bow Designs, and then Pookie Bear Cuties is the last one. It's a 4th of July kit, and I accidentally pulled it from my oopsie pile, so it's miscut. You'll see that in the video. Don't worry about it. That was my bad. All right, so put up a poll on my community page, and people definitely wanted to hear the story about my job history the last year since I left the library. So I was a librarian for 5 years, and in a rural community, a rural farming community. I loved it very, very much, but there were some negatives that started to become an issue in my life. One, I had to drive a long ways. That wasn't so much, and there was no health coverage. That was a big deal. And then also, it was very lonely. I could go a whole shift and not see one person. And so I decided that for my mental health, that I really needed to get out to a different job where I had more people contact. I did love the people. Well, they were like a family, and I still hear from them, and I miss you guys. All right, so I made a decision to go back into what I call go back into the healthcare field. I am a licensed respiratory therapist that hasn't practiced for 20 years, so I knew I couldn't go back to that because I was really rusty and I wouldn't have been able to give critical care. So I would be only good for maybe like 2 rounds. I could suffer through I don't want to say suffer through a code, but because the person's suffering, but I could get myself through a code in a pinch, but mostly there's just too many people coming out that are fresh graduates with fresh education that I'd be competing with, and I just didn't think it was appropriate for me to try to go back into that field. So I took a job at our hospital in the ER admitting, and excuse me, and it was horrible. It was mismanaged. They had a lead person that should have retired about 3 years prior. She told me her age. She was way past retirement. She was overworked. She some days would go home for a 3-hour nap and come back. And so she'd be working like 20-hour days. And I'm like, she was tired. And you know, when you're tired and you're overworked, you respond to stress differently than you would if you were rested. So she mistreated a lot of people. I watched her mistreat more than just me. And the final straw, I lasted about 6 weeks, was when I asked to take a break. And she told me, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, fine. You know, she waved her arm at me. And I went, and then when I came back, and I told her where I was going. I was in the break room. I was about 50 feet away. I said, if you get slammed, because it was just her and I said, if you get slammed, come get me. Because, you know, when you're in ER admitting, you never know if you're going to get an ambulance or who's going to walk through the door in the next 5 minutes. And it's a very stressful job. The stress I could handle, but when I came back from my break, she yelled at me for taking a break. And I looked at her and I'm like, you gave me permission. Because I would never just leave my coworker on the floor by herself. And I said, well, I told you where I was. And I went, that's the final straw. I mean, they put me and 3 other trainees. They did not give us any official training. They just threw us out there. And yeah, it was pretty rough. And definitely I decided, you know what, this isn't the way I want to live. The other big thing that happened in that job was that they lied about the shift differential, which is the one reason that I was able to financially take the pay cut, because I was making pretty good money at the library. I'd been there 5 years. So after, 5 years of raises, I was making very, very good money for a part-time job. But they lied to me about the shift differential. And they lied to the 3 other people that started too. So it wasn't just me. That really made me angry because I also took the second shift because of the shift differential. So it was just a bad scene. And I just decided I'm too old for that. I just don't want to live like that. So then the next job that I took, actually the guy he contacted me the day after my last day at the hospital. I had given 2-week notice. I was still being responsible, showing people respect that haven't earned it. That is something I do try to do, but it was tough. Those last 2 weeks at the hospital were really rough because I just wanted to cut and run. This guy invented a pet item. I don't want to say anything too revealing because, you know, you also have to think about, I don't want to get into a situation where somebody says that, you know, I've slandered them, even though everything I'm sharing is true. And so he was batshit crazy. And I'm sorry if that offends somebody, but the guy was an abuser. He had a God complex. At one point during my training, he like confronted me and said that, you know, I can't remember specifically what he said, but something to the effect of when I had my own bead store, which was a decade ago, and how I was afraid of the customers. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. And then finally he would just hammer me until I was kind of getting angry crying. And then he looked at me, he goes, you know, I make you cry for your own good. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, you're nuts. I'm like, yeah. So that, I also had a coworker that was gaslighting me. That was fun. That was my first experience on getting gaslit. She would lie to him and wasn't giving me the full training manual. And then my first day there, her first thing after he introduced me and he walked away because he put her in charge of some of my training was, I don't know why he hired you. And I go, what? And she goes, yeah, I don't know why he hired you. There's not enough work for 2 people. And I thought, well, geez, welcome to you too. Girl, I was whoa, I was really taken aback. And then, of course, she announced herself as Susie Super Christian. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I caught her lying. She gaslit me, you know, wasn't giving me all the training manuals. And then I was screwing up. It was just a mess. It was like a cult. Like he was the boss and I don't know. It's really hard for me to express myself when I get into crazy town people. So I also found out after I quit there because I went, nope, we're done. I can't. I lasted 9 weeks there, you guys, because he was paying me so much that I was like, I even would get advice from friends and they'd be like, God, well, you know, you're getting paid a lot. And I'm like, yeah. Maybe I should just swallow it. And then I went, no, finally, I just couldn't do it anymore. So it's really hard to dredge up those old feelings and like specific detailed situations that happened. It's been such a long time ago and I just don't hold a grudge. And it was a big learning process for me to just say, I'm better than that. I'm worth more than that, to just stay for the paycheck and just walk away. And trust me, I found out later that he is not a well-respected individual in our community and that the employment agencies won't even deal with him because his practices are so horrific. And I should have been paying attention when the interview was 2 hours long and on one of the interviews, because I was honest with working at the hospital and why I left. And he must have grilled me for, is that the right word? Drilled me for an hour in that interview as to why I didn't step up and make them change things. And I'm like, well, because I'm not the boss. I mean, I don't know. It just was, I don't know. I still have PTSD from him and I still have nightmares about about his like mental and emotional abuse that he had. You can hear in my voice that I'm searching for the words. And so it was just a very, very bad situation. And also to not have the support of the person that's training you and to just, you know, like a perfect example of what she did was I messed up on one thing. And of course that turned into, you know, a 2-hour lecture. And then he wanted to see my training manual. And then he found out that she hadn't included everything that she was supposed to include in my training manual. So he called her in. And then, I mean, it was good that I wasn't the one majorly screwing up. And then decided that because she didn't include everything, after 9 weeks, he was going to start my training from square one. And that's when I went, no, I'm not the village idiot. No, you can absolutely. It was just, I had never in my entire adult life experienced something like this. It was just bizarre. So, all right. So then I took the temp to hire job. That was nuts. It was a lot of overtime, a lot of pressure. Here's that kit that I pulled from my oopsie pile. I don't know what I was smoking when I did that. But, and at 2 weeks, I loved that job. You guys, I love that job. It was perfect. It paid me good money. It was data entry. I love data entry. I thrive with data entry. And everybody seemed really nice. And after about 2 weeks, the boss pulled me in. The supervisor said, we really enjoy you. We love your attitude. We want to hire you, you know, but we have this contract with the agency. And I said, okay, great. Yay. Yay me. I found a full-time job with benefits, which was my main reason for leaving the library. And, then Christmas happened and I just kind of let things settle. Then it was the end of the year, so I worked a lot of overtime to prove my worth and all the things, and went to them after the end of the year. Obviously, you don't approach somebody when they're stressed out, and asked about hiring me. And all of a sudden things just shifted. And I was like, okay, whoa, wait a minute. I did not. So I was like 2 or 3 months in some really severe stress, wondering what was going to happen. It was my choice to stay, risking that they might not hire me, because they basically told me they weren't going to hire me, but they weren't sure. And I went, okay, what changed from, you know, early December to now early February? And she really wouldn't give me an answer. So come April, they let me go, and I asked, you know, was there something that I could have done differently to prove my worth or whatever? And she was like, well, you didn't really make the AI your own. And I went, what? AI is like, you know, that's not a $20 an hour job. That's a $150 an hour job. What are you talking about? And she couldn't give me an answer. And I thought, oh, that's just bull. And so come to find out, they're $8 million in debt. I found this out. And now they have a hiring freeze and they're letting people go, upper management. And I saw the writing on the wall about a week before they let me go. There was an accounting meeting where we were told there was $8 million in debt and how could we help? And I thought, oh, geez, that's poor. That's really bad. And then a week before they let me go, within 24 hours, I got 4 emails that all the higher ups had been let go. And I went, oh boy. So let's say this, I wasn't shocked, but I was so devastated because I love the job so much. And so it really sent me into a tailspin. But now I am working at a car dealership with my son, and I'm having the best time. And I really enjoy the job. I really enjoy the people. I'm back to working part-time, and I'm happy. And so, but this story, I've never had such issues with jobs in my entire life. But that's it. That's my last year. That's why the last year has kind of sucked. And so I hope you guys enjoyed hearing the story. And here is the final. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and always enjoy today. Bye, everybody.